Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I've always believed that relationships fall apart slowly, quietly, long before the first obvious crack appears. Looking back now, I can see the little things I ignored, the jokes I brushed off, the uneasy glances I pretended not to notice. But nothing prepared me for the night everything finally snapped in half. My name is Arden, I'm 36, and up until a few months ago, I thought my marriage to Lila was solid. Not perfect, no marriages, but steady in that comforting, familiar way. We'd been together for 8 years, married for 5, and most people described us as secure. Maybe that was the problem. Secure can sometimes drift into complacent, and complacent can sometimes turn into something colder. It all started at her sister's annual summer party. Saren, Lila's younger sister, hosted it every July. She's the kind of woman who lights up a room without trying. Playful, bold, a little chaotic. People gravitate toward her the way moths chase porch lights. I'd always liked her energy, but in an innocent, friendly way. She was fun to be around, even if she made Lila roll her eyes at least 10 times per hour. The party was already buzzing when we arrived. People were scattered around Saren's big backyard. Music playing, fairy lights glowing, the scent of grilled food drifting through the warm air. Lila slipped away to greet her friends, leaving me near the drink table. I grabbed a soda and tried to feel relaxed, but something in the air felt off. Maybe it was the way Lila brushed past me without the usual squeeze of my hand. Maybe it was just my imagination. An hour later, the crowd thinned enough for a drinking game. Someone suggested truth or shock, which was basically truth or dare, except the dares were replaced by a shot of something painfully strong. Lila isn't a big drinker, but she loved shocking people with unexpected answers, so she jumped in immediately. I joined only because she wanted me to, and because saying no would have felt like sitting out of my own marriage. The questions started harmlessly. Embarrassing stories, worst hairstyles, first crushes. People were laughing, relaxed, tipsy. Then someone turned to Lila and asked, "What's something about your relationship that would surprise everyone here?" It was a harmless prompt. People answered things like, "We argue over who left the fridge open," or "He can't sleep without socks on." I expected something cute or mildly embarrassing. Instead, Lila lifted her drink, smirked at the circle, and said clearly, "I opened up our marriage." The group exploded in laughter, big, exaggerated, drunk amusement. Everyone thought it was a joke, a wild, edgy party joke, something bold to get a reaction. Everyone except me, because Lila used the exact same tone she used when she told me we needed more space. The same tone she used when she suggested spending weekends apart to rediscover independence. The same tone she used for every joke that wasn't actually a joke. My stomach dropped. "Wow, Lila," someone yelled. "I didn't know you two were adventurous." Another laughed. "Good for you both, modern marriage," someone else added. I sat there frozen, staring at her. She didn't look at me. She didn't smile my way. She didn't wink or nudge or even pretend to include me in the joke. She just took a sip of her drink, shrugged, and moved on. I don't know what showed on my face, but Saren, who'd been leaning against the fence with a drink, noticed. Her eyebrows pulled together for a moment. Then something mischievous flashed across her expression. Before I could process any of it, someone spun the bottle to choose the next player, and it landed on me. The question was something dumb like, "If you had to choose someone here to kiss, who would it be?" People laughed because the drink game always got flirty at that point. It was the natural, predictable escalation. But I didn't answer. Couldn't. My mind was still stuck on Lila's words. "I think he's in shock," someone chuckled. "Arden, man, lighten up. It's just a joke," another added. "Yeah," Lila said lightly, still not looking at me. "He takes things too seriously." The comment stung more than it should have. Like she'd flicked a bruise she knew was already sore. Before I could say anything, Saren stepped forward, crossed the space between us, and, without warning, leaned in. She kissed me, not drunkenly, Not sloppily, not clumsily, but deliberately. Then she pulled back just enough to speak, her voice low enough for only me and maybe 3 stunned witnesses to hear. "Great," she whispered with a wicked smile. "Now you're my boyfriend." The yard erupted in cheers and startled laughter. But all I heard was the thundering silence from my wife. And for the first time in 8 years, Lila finally looked at me. Lila's expression wasn't jealousy. It wasn't shock. It wasn't even anger. It was annoyance. A tight, irritated wrinkle between her eyebrows. Like I had done something to inconvenience her. Like somehow I'd disrupted her joke. Her narrative. Her moment. That look hit me harder than Saren's kiss. Around us, the crowd was still reacting. Some laughing, some cheering, some whispering. But all the noise felt distant, muffled. Like someone had dunked my head underwater. I stood there, unable to move, the taste of surprise and confusion stuck in my throat. Saren clinked her glass against mine with a playful, triumphant grin before wandering back toward the house, leaving the air buzzing behind her. The whole thing had happened so fast I wasn't sure anyone really understood what they'd seen. A joke? A dare? A stunt? Something more? I tried to read Lila's face again, but she looked away before I could find an answer. For the next hour, the party blurred together. People kept talking, laughing, dancing, but everything felt disjointed. I kept replaying the moment in my head. The kiss, the whisper, the way Lila's expression shifted from forced amusement to irritation. Eventually, I slipped inside for some quiet. Saren's house was warm, lights low, music thumping faintly from the backyard. I was grateful for the silence. I needed to breathe, think, get my head straight. But the moment I stepped into the hallway toward the kitchen, someone grabbed my wrist. I turned around. It was Saren. She leaned against the wall, one eyebrow lifted, a half-smile curving her mouth. "You look like you just walked out of a tornado." "Saren?" I said slowly, rubbing the back of my neck. "What was that outside?" "A kiss," she said simply, pushing her hair behind her ear. "You looked like you needed one." "That's not funny," I muttered. "Neither is what Lila said." Her smile faded into something more serious. "She shouldn't have done that to you. She said it was a joke." "She didn't say it like a joke," Saren replied. "You know that." Her voice was softer now, calm and unexpectedly understanding. There was none of her usual teasing sparkle, just sincerity I wasn't prepared for. "You okay?" she asked. "I don't know," I admitted. We stood there for a moment, the quiet stretching between us, the sounds of the party fading into the background. "You two haven't been okay for a while, have you?" she said gently. I exhaled slowly. "No, not really." Saren crossed her arms, thinking. "You deserve someone who actually wants to be in a marriage with you, not someone who treats commitment like a punchline." "I don't think she meant." "She meant it," Saren cut in. "Lila doesn't say things by accident. She says them so she doesn't have to deal with the consequences later." I didn't want to believe her, but deep down I already knew she was right. Before I could respond, Lila's voice carried through the hallway. "Arden." She appeared at the other end, her expression tight, eyes flicking from me to her sister and back. "Can we talk?" "Alone." Saren scoffed softly. Now she wants to talk. But she stepped aside anyway. I followed Lila into the guest room and shut the door behind us. The noise from the party disappeared completely. She didn't sit. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She just crossed her arms and stared at me like I was responsible for everything that went wrong. "What was that outside?" she demanded. I blinked. "What do you mean, what was that?" "You're the one who said you'd opened our marriage." "It was a joke, Arden. It didn't feel like one." "You take everything so literally," she snapped. "Why can't you just loosen up for once?" "I would have laughed," I said, "if I felt like we were actually joking together. But lately, it feels like you're saying things so you don't have to actually admit what you want." She looked away. "You're overthinking. And you're avoiding," I said quietly. Silence stretched between us. Finally, she sighed in irritation. And what about Saren kissing you? Did you even try to stop her? I didn't know what she was doing until she did it. That doesn't matter, Lila said coldly. Everyone saw. Something in me cracked a little at her words. Everyone also heard what you said, I replied. Maybe that's why she did it. Maybe she was trying to protect me from sitting there looking like an idiot. Lila's eyes narrowed. You're defending her? I'm defending myself, I said. And then it happened. Her expression softened, but not in a loving way, in a calculating one, like she was deciding which angle benefited her most. We can fix this, she said quickly. Just don't make a big deal out of tonight. I stared at her. No, I said quietly. We can't fix something you won't admit is broken. She opened her mouth to argue, but I stepped past her and opened the door. I'm going home, I said. You can stay if you want. Her face twisted. So you're choosing her? I'm choosing myself, I answered. I walked out before she could reply. In the hallway, Saren was leaning against the wall again, arms crossed, watching me with understanding in her eyes. Leaving? She asked softly. Yeah. She nodded once. Good. And as I stepped out into the cool night air, I realized something. It wasn't the kiss that changed everything. It was the moment I finally saw my marriage for what it had become. A joke I was no longer willing to play along with.